Now, in seeking to further elucidate and explore and excavate the similarities between NI and psychosis, and in the process, arriving at hopefully some conclusions regarding whether the similarities are merely superficial or more profound. If they are profound, then great, we can probably access a wealth of new explanatory material, data to create connections. If they are more superficial, does it mean we stop there and we kind of jettison the whole enterprise, or can we still salvage some elements that may still really help us in better grasping what it means to live with NI dominance, what it means to experience the world in an NI way? This remains to be determined, and I'm still open in this respect. I should say, though, for full disclosure, that this is something that I'm exploring in my NI manuscript. As you guys probably know, my next book will be on NI, purely on introverted intuition. NI Bible. This is how I'm picturing the book, right? The NI Bible. If you want to understand NI in the deepest, most profound, most layered, and challenging way possible, get my future book. At least this is the commitment I'm making. This is the promise I'm making. I started working on the manuscript, only a few days ago. I started working on the manuscript because I had a bit of time and I had ideas. And in fact, the format of the book will be a little different from the format of my two previous books, which I might mention quickly. The Ecstatic Soul on the inner world of the INFJ. You should definitely get it if you haven't yet. It's linked below, and so is the Infinite Soul, which is more on the external, the outer world of the INFJ, and how to lead a life that finds meaning, purpose, and value. Right? Inner and outer, the two faces of the INFJ. Now, these two books are essays. They're essays, and they have an introduction, they have a few chapters, and then a conclusion. So they're kind of, in a way, the style is classical, you might say. Maybe the Ecstatic Soul is a bit more academic, and the Infinite Soul is a bit more accessible. The tone is a bit more casual without being completely casual. In any case, my book on NI, and this also has arisen out of conversations with people on the Discord, and that you can join our Discord, become part of our community of members there, interact with me every day and with the others as well. If you join my Patreon, the link to my Patreon is down below. For a small amount every month, you go massively to, your help is huge toward helping me continue with this channel. I need funding in order to keep going. You get access to the Discord as well as to bonus videos every 2-3 weeks, deep dives I call them, on a topic of your choice, or sometimes a topic that I consider very important. And I spend like 20, 25, 28 minutes just discussing that. And in the course of conversations with my fellow patrons and Jungian existentialists, because that's the title you get if you become a patron, it appeared that the medium that I want to have for the book on NI is different, because it's a book on NI. So it has somehow to, in the very medium, in the very form of it, be an expression of NI. If I want it to be deep, if I want it to be a proper holistic experience of what it's like to have NI, what NI is, what NI means. And so it's going to have a slightly different structure, but I'll keep the rest a little bit under wraps for now. If you want to know a bit more, you can also, again, join our Discord, because there are conversations about that there. But in any case, so far I have manuscript notes. It's starting to get quite interesting, my research and my writing there on NI. And I'm really excited to share them with you when the book comes out. I don't know when, but so far it's just beginning work on the manuscript. But it's obvious that wrestling with this idea that there's a family resemblance between the structure of NI and the structure of experience, in terms of how it's described of people who have psychosis, particularly schizophrenia, is impossible to ignore. Like, you cannot fully understand NI dominance if you are not willing to wrestle with that topic. It's going to make some people uncomfortable. One of the reasons why it will make people uncomfortable is because psychosis, psychotic, the adjective is often an insult. It's a bad word. It's very pejorative. It's derogatory. And we fail to appreciate that psychosis is not just, first of all, those people suffer a lot, more than the rest of us. that the immense majority of them are completely harmless to society, and that they need help. But they also have dignity. They are not just people who are sick. They are people who have a mode of being in the world that is very different from the rest of us. But what I've been observing, what I've been coming to grips with, is that in the whole population of people of certain types, NI dominants seem to have the most in common with them. And I think that's the reason why the people, the authors who have written in the most penetrating fashion about psychosis, about the experience of having schizophrenia in their patients, and so on, are NI dominants. Just look at R.D. Laing, just look at Melanie Klein, just look at Carl Jung. Like, it's clear they're all NI dominants. So there's something there. The peculiar sensitivity to alienation in NI life. Alienation is a concept that you are all familiar with if you've read The Ecstatic Soul and The Infinite Soul, because it's become one of the cornerstones of my whole theory, right? Alienation from the world. Alienation and the experience of strangeness, estrangement, depersonalization, derealization, dissociation, which can lead to delusions in the case of psychosis. I mean, of course, there is a family resemblance there that needs to be explored more in detail. Of course, it's much more low intensity, much more manageable, more sustainable, more sane, of course, in the case of your everyday, I was going to say banal NI dominance, even though NI dominance is not really banal because it's quite rare in people. But still, NI dominants, the immense majority of them are not psychotic. They are perfectly adapted to, life among other people. It's just that they wrestle in some part of their existence with this low intensity feeling of alienation, right? That allows them to have the sensitivity to empathize with and to understand better people who have psychosis, because in a certain way and at a very much lesser level of intensity, they know what it feels like. Ontological insecurity. The ontological insecurity of NI dominance is alienation. And, I like to talk about severance, right? Severed alienation being just really like not being able to connect with the world, and unsevered alienation as the path the path of individuation, as Jung would say, what I call spiritualization, the path of spirit, the path of the sacred, a secular kind of sacred, in the case of INFJs individuating. The psychotic, one of the reasons why psychosis is, so to speak, incurable, it's described as such, that a person who has psychosis does not stop having psychosis. They can live with their psychosis, but they cannot become non-psychotic once they've had a break. I mean, that's kind of saying, it's kind of like saying that these people are permanently severed. They cannot unsever their alienation. And here again, you see a fragment of the kinship that there is. And hopefully we can all together learn to be comfortable with this notion, not be afraid of talking about this kinship, because it's challenging, but it says something about everyone, right? It says something about everyone. And most clinicians, most psychologists, most psychiatrists who are great psychiatrists, great psychologists, who've worked well with patients, helped a lot of people, have had lots of insight, they will always tell you they learn a lot from their patients, including, perhaps especially those who suffer the most, who are the most disturbed. So let's exercise some empathy, some measure, and some openness to exploring these difficult topics in the future, including in my future book. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.